Alright, what's up? One more KTM RC390 video for you today. Going to be replacing this exhaust chamber here, this big black thing, with this thing. This is a Competition Works exhaust chamber delete, I guess. It's a lot smaller and lighter than the stock one, and hopefully it sounds a lot better too. So let's get started. So just to show you what fasteners that I can see so far that will need to be removed are, you have this one bolt here, as well as one on the other side. You got a clamp here with the bolt right there. Got another clamp underneath right here. And then you've got one bolt over here, and I think this is one really long bolt that goes all the way to the other side. So a couple fasteners to remove, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started. All right, so this top one was an 8mm. Okay, next up we have these two bolts here, right next to this line. So this is going to be a 12mm and this is going to be a 14mm. So I'm going to work on getting these out. And this one is that long bolt that goes all the way to the other side. Next up, I'm just going to loosen this clamp. And then there's one more clamp down here. And both those clamp bolts were 12s. Finally, I'm going to just remove this and try and get this exhaust as loose as I can just to help get the canister out. I'm not going to take the bolt fully out just so it can still hang here. Actually, just kidding. I'm going to actually remove the bolt too, just to see if I can remove the whole exhaust. So it does look like removing the whole exhaust kind of helps, just because you can wiggle that off now. I'm just trying to wiggle this off before I take a pry bar to anything. Okay, it's out, and that kind of escalated quickly. You can see the whole fairing's off, and so is the entire header over here. So unfortunately, it turns out that this part is kind of just within this chamber, so the clamp actually kind of clamps over here, and there's just not enough room for this to kind of all come out and let this drop out at the same time. So I ended up just pulling the header off, which is only two nuts, two 12mm nuts, and the fairing is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 4mm hex screws. So it only took about another 10 minutes to pop off. And I really don't know if it's possible to get this whole thing out without pulling the header. Yeah, a little bit more work than I was expecting, but not too bad. Okay, and here is a quick size comparison of that stock piece versus the Competition Works piece, and you can just tell how much smaller this is, and it's much lighter. Yeah, this is so much lighter versus this heavy thing here. So excited to kind of see what this sounds like, what it looks like. So yeah, let's keep going. Okay, so to mount this, it looks like you only have this one ear here, and so I just stole one of the bushings off of the stock piece here and put it back into this one. And then you also get this one rod that went through both here, and that long 12mm bolt went through this. So I'm just going to stick that back in here, and this is going to be, how it gets mounted up. Okay, and here it is installed. So I just stuck the rod back in between the frame, put the long 12mm bolt back in, and also that 14mm to the left. Although now that I look at it, I don't think you actually needed to remove the 14mm bolt. So that's just holding this plastic piece on. So probably best to not touch that one if you don't need to. Okay, and here's the finished product. There's actually not much to see. It actually looks a little weird because of just how big of a gaping hole there is, but it is quite a bit lighter. Anyway, this was probably a terrible DIY video, but basically I do think you need to take the fairing off as well as the header just to be able to get down, all the way down to this area and pull everything out. But it's not a whole lot of hardware to remove. Pretty simple job in the end. You just have to kind of remove everything. The fairing comes off fairly easily as well. So anyway, pretty terrible video, but I will leave you with some before and after sound clips at least. Okay, so one thing that I did forget to mention is make sure that you have the seals for the connection points here and here. So they look like this, just a simple ring, but they are needed. Otherwise, your mid pipe here is going to be super loose and leak like crazy. You'll probably, when you take this thing out, you'll probably find this big one in here, and then the small one will be inside here. Um, and just be really careful that you don't damage them because they're basically made out of like some pencil lead and will get nicked and damaged really easily. And then it's really hard to slide the pipe back on because it makes it a really tight fit. So be careful with that. Make sure that you get those back in there so you don't have any leaks.